The Lebanese government and the Prime Minister have resigned after mounting public anger following last Tuesday's devastating chemical explosions. The number of deaths is now thought to be over 200 and hundreds of thousands are homeless. There have been days of protests over it as locals squarely blame the government, citing years of endemic corruption. Our Middle East correspondent Paula Slearthen reporting next this morning from near one of the overnight disturbances for you.
The situation here is becoming more and more unruly. Behind you, you see the Lebanese police. They've managed to push protesters all the way back from the Parliament building. We're now in one of the side streets, but there is tear gas, and we're going to move forward a little bit because rocks are being thrown in our direction by the protesters. Now, the protesters are still out on the streets, despite the fact that earlier the Lebanese Prime Minister resigned. He resigned along with his cabinet, but what the protesters here are telling me is that they're not going to stop taking to the streets until the whole Parliament itself resigns. So it's possible that scenes like this will continue. We've witnessed people being wounded again. We've witnessed ambulances ferrying them to and from the scene. So a lot of the same scenes unfolding as we witnessed over the past 2 days. This is violence that started on Saturday night. More than 700 people have been injured. One policeman so far has been killed. Oh no, we're getting tear gas. Okay, I'll break for a moment while I put on my mask and we'll show you what the last few days of violence have looked like. Now, people here are calling this a revolution. I've been talking to protesters and they say that this revolution is not going to be over, as I mentioned, until the Parliament itself resigns. Beirut really hasn't witnessed scenes like this in many, many years. We've had lots of tear gas on the streets. A Rugby cameraman was injured. At the same time, the police are being accused of using excessive force, and they have admitted to using both tear gas and live bullets. We're going to move forward again because the tear gas is coming in this direction and the protests are moving towards us. But as I say, the situation in Beirut, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, not only about the explosion at the port, but also on the whole mismanagement of the government and its failure to take accountability and responsibility.
This is actually the second government that's had to resign in a matter of 10 months. The Saad Hariri government resigned in October last year, and then Hariri remained as a caretaker for another 2 months. So it may well be that Hassan Diab remains in power as a caretaker prime minister for another 2, 3 or 4 months. So the protesters will not be happy with that. They want independent people who have some kind of reputation of credibility and accountability. So that's one thing. And the second thing, as I said earlier, was that I think that people want a new parliamentary elections in the hope that new candidates will emerge, not the same old power brokers of the past 30 years, and get a fresh new group of people to come in.